Hello and welcome to Course Like Your Car Brochure channel, where we're continuing to have a look at this all-model catalogue for Vauxhall for October to December 1978. This week we're up to the Vauxhall Viva. Hello and welcome back, and if you're new to Course Like, we're a car brochure channel here on YouTube, looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s and sometimes beyond that as well. So if you're interested in cars, car knowledge, looking back at cars we all remember, please consider subscribing. It is completely free. Anyway, back to today's episode. We've been looking at this late Vauxhall all model range, late 78. Last week we looked at the Chevette. So if we missed that, I'm going to put a little bit of a link at the end of the episode. Doesn't really matter too much what order you look at these, but we're going to do a little bit of a series for the full range for 78. Strangely, the next model up is the Viva, which kind of like doesn't really fit in with the rest of the range. It's a pretty elderly model by this stage, but let's have a look how it looked in late 78. Okay, so then in this late 78 brochure, last week the Chevette, like we said, this week the Viva, and certainly one of the oldest models in this range, and certainly one due for change. It first came out in 1970, and this is the Viva HC, of course, and ended production in 1979, so really at the end of production, waiting the axe, and like I said, it doesn't really fit in with the rest of the range somehow. Certainly now that we've got the Chevette there, and the next model up after this is a Cavalier. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the text and then we'll come back to these images. So it's telling us sound engineering, a high level of equipment and immaculate finish give the Viva pace setting standards. Constant refinement adds to the Viva's strong reputation for dependability and economy. Generous interior dimensions ensure total comfort. Even the boot capacity has 12.2 cubic feet. Every Viva is comprehensively equipped, even to fitted front seat belts and no extra costs. Wow. Every Viva glows with an acrylic lacquer paint finish. Underneath every Viva, full underbody seal, and the ultra luxurious Viva GLS saloon is available in 2 or 4 door versions. 1300 power available on both, or the 1800 power unit on the 4 door model only. Okay, so let's look at these models on the first image. That will be your top of the range, the GLS, unusually with these 4 headlights up front, and the quite unusually styled Estate version here in L trim. But anyway, let's look at the trim levels proper by looking at the first model up. So first model is up is the Viva E, the base model, and don't worry, we'll zoom in a moment. So not E for executive here, this is going to be more E for economy, the super base model. And I guess, like I say, this is a very elderly design now in the Vauxhall range. I would only assume they must be heavily discounted by this time to continue selling them, when we've got things like the Chevette, which is certainly a bit more modern looking. Anyway, let's zoom in on the text. So Viva E, 2-door and 4-door saloons, value never looks so good. As a 2 or 4-door saloon, the Viva E is remarkable value. It couples its own individual styling treatments with all the Viva's basic virtues of looks, comfort, space and quality. Generous comfort dimensions, a very complete specification, and a body protection process exactly the same as that on the more expensive Vauxhall, even down to the full underbody sealing, combined in a genuine family car. And then it goes through some very basic specifications. It's not really very much to shout about. It says things like sound insulation, a glove box for goodness sake, a driver's sun visor. So they're really trying to come out with some of these features that you would really expect to have anyway. Vinide trim, not 100% sure what that is. I would imagine it would be a very cheap and nasty material, but you know, answer in the comments, is that like a vinyl? Going down, 2-speed wipers, front ashtray, wow. Adjustable face level air vents, through floor ventilation, you know, the instruments, and then exterior features, full underbody seal. Can't expect that, wouldn't you? Acrylic lacquer paint. Choice of 4 colours, so only 4 colours on the base model, and then the only option is a different tyre by the looks of it. Base model's got a different sort of instrument layout, this very unusual speedometer, different than the rest of the range. I think I would have wanted the base E just for this, and more conventional on the higher up models, and they make more sense, but this is very 70s, isn't it? It says the compact and easy to read instrumentation of the Viva E saloon model feature a large speedometer flanked by water temperature and fuel gauges. The speedometer incorporates the kph scale. Warning lights with appropriate function symbols are arranged in 2 groups above. A light switch panel is on the left, and there are provisions for auxiliary switches. So yeah, very base, unusual speedometer for sure, and very much like Fords. I really like base models for some reason, because they always do some things a little bit different for reasons I'm not really sure. You think just one conventional speedometer would make more sense and would be cheaper, but a lot of companies really like to say, you know, you've got the base model, that's what you're getting. A look at that interior and the vinide trim. And I particularly like it in yellow. Actually, yellow must have been one of the 4 colour choices there for the base model, and I think it quite suits it actually. And it looks like sort of a tan trim to match. We'll have a look at the colours at the end. Next up is logically the L, so let's take a look at that. So Viva 1300L, 2-door and 4-door saloon, smartly practical, sensibly priced. All the Viva E's high level specification overlaid with more comfort, more convenience features, more visual distinction both inside and out. With its robust and reliable 1256cc engine, generous comfort dimensions and 12.2 cubic foot boot, the Viva 1300L is ideal family all-rounder. So features, we've got a nicer trim, so we've got a cloth trim at least now, so it really is, the sensible person would move up to the L, I'm sure, just for that nicer cloth trim. Inertia wheel seat belts, front armrests, still not a great deal of trim to be honest with you. Exterior features, extra bright work, hazard warning flashes, stainless steel fuel cap, wheel embellishers. Now we've got 12 colours we can choose from. And we can even get a metallic paint. We can get a metallic paint on that base model. Much more conventional and sensible instrument panel this time. So we've got a large twin dials now. The light switch panel on the left and warning light panel on the right are inclined inward slightly for ease of operation and legibility. So much more sensible, but like I say, there is something about that previous instrument panel. Bit of a look at how much room is in the boot area, and rather nicely, even though those seats don't have headrests, they certainly look a far nicer seat. And you know, I think if you was a little bit sensible, you'd at least move up to an L surely. Does look a lot nicer with the extra bright work on for sure, and those full wheel trims, lots of bright work. I guess you could say it kind of dates it, all that bright work, but I quite like it. It's a 70s thing after all, isn't it? And of course it certainly looks a bit nicer being a metallic, so it certainly looks a step up for sure from the E, and that's exactly what it is. So the next model at this time was the GLS. I know previously this would have been an SL, but that's gone and we've got a GLS. Twin headlights really make it look like a completely different car actually, and we've got a couple of engine choices as well, so this is quite a big step up I feel. Anyway, let's learn a bit more about it. Okay, so Viva GLS, so we've got a 2 or a 4 door, can be a 1256. 4 door could only be increased in size to a 1759, so you couldn't get that 1759 as a 2 door, unfortunately. One of the most distinctive and luxurious compact family saloons available, the Viva GLS offers spacious comfort, an extremely comprehensive specification, and the choice of 2 performance levels according to engine size. Automatic transmission is available as an option on the 1800 version. And direction indicators, handbrake on and brake fluid loss, and an ambler tool hold all. Exterior features include extra brightwork, rubber bumper inserts, body side mouldings with PVC inserts, 4 halogen headlights, hazard warning flashes, reverse lights, twin horns, stainless steel locking fuel cap, sports road wheel and trim rings, 155 SR by 13 radial tyres, GLS boot badge, engine grille badge, choice of 12 colours, so we get the full colour range as well, and options are the auto for the 1800 model, metallic paint, and we can even specify this to have a vinyl roof covering. How very 70s. So we've also got a different instrument panel again, this time a 7-dial panel. So a supplementary panel carrying a battery of warning lights is mounted on the fascia to the left of the instruments. But look at that, 7-dial instrument panel. Very unusual, I think, to have a clock in there. So a lot of the models in the 70s used to have, your speedometer and a clock, or a rev counter. Often that rev counter, or that clock, was replaced with a rev counter and the clock went somewhere else. But very unusual to have them all in this panel like that, and we'll have a better look at the dash in a moment to see what that actually looked like. Next image is sort of Vauxhall's sort of self-absorbing or collapsing steering column, and then we got a lovely little image, and we'll zoom in, of the GLS Viva. Unfortunately, it's such a tiny image, it's hard to get it in there, but you can see sort of that black treatment at the rear there, and those unusually placed reversing lights, kind of like tacked on as a bit of an afterthought. And the interior, the seats look really nice actually, the velour seats really help it. Again, no head restraints at this time though, sadly. And we can see how that sort of 7-gauge dial dashboard kind of like works. Kind of looks a little bit sporty, I guess. And then the main image, and like I say, that grille and those 4 lights really changed the look entirely of the car. And just zoom in, that gives you an idea where they kind of like badged it for the engine size. This is a 4-door one, but it's still the smaller engine. But that's not where the range ends. We get this really quite weirdly looking Estate that we could get as a Viva. We could also get that as a GLS with the 4-door, 4 lights on there, or we can get the more basic L. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the text. So the Viva 1300 Estate, only strangely looks like you can get the smaller engine only on the Estates, which would have been nice to get the larger engine on there as well, wouldn't it? But 1300L, 1300 GLS, stylish, roomy, practical. Evaluate the Viva Estate and note: rearward visibility, ease of tailgate opening, load protection features, and ease of lowering the rear seat. Viva Estate scores all ways because they are designed as estate cars at the drawing board stage. And then it's got, the features for the L, so it's kind of like matching the saloon, plaid cloth for the L with velour for the GLS, or a similar real story. So I don't think we need to go through each individual thing, but certainly I think the GLS was really the one to have, but I don't know how much extra GLS would have been. But of course, at this time, I'm sure these will begin to run out models now, and I'm sure they would be nicely priced to tempt the last of these away, because really, like I said before, I don't think they really fit in with the rest of the range by this time. A little bit of an image of, the practicalities of getting the estate model and, folding the rear seat down. But to be honest with you, because of the unusual way they've actually styled this, and apparently straight away from the drawing board, certainly not as practical as it could be for an estate, because you think estate would be a load lugger, but sloping the rear like that certainly limits how much you can actually get into the thing. Then zoom into the model, quite nice in yellow again, very 70s colour, isn't it, but certainly suits it. Personally, I know some people like these, but I'm not really a huge fan of the estate and how it curves at the back. Makes it less practical. I don't think it really looks that good anyway. I think I certainly would prefer the saloons. This is of course the L with that sort of rectangular lights and that different sort of chrome looking grille. And then a look at the rear, and again the L and that unusual position where they decided to store the spare wheel. The main image though is of that GLS with that different front end, and like I say, looks vastly different, doesn't it, from the front, but we've still got that silly rear on it. Then finally we get to the specifications for the Viva saloons and estates, so let's have a look at those. So of course we've got that 1300, which is a 1256 4-cylinder engine, 57.7 bhp at 5600 rpm, and the 1800 only available on that GLS saloon, rather unusually, 1759cc 4-cylinder, 88 bhp at 5800 rpm. So transmission is a 4-speed all synchromesh gearbox, Sentra floor shift. And it's like a heavy duty version for the 1800, and then of course the 1800 has got the option for an automatic. Suspension is independent front coil spring, live axle and coil springs at rear. Front anti-roll bar with 1800 engine, brakes dual circuit servo assisted, discs at the front, drums at the rear, heavy duty brakes with the 1800. Steering of course is rack and pinion. I look at the wheel sizes, and then we've got sort of sports wheels on the GLS, but again different size whether you've got the 1300 or 1800 GLS. A little bit of look at the towing weights, and then we get to the colours and trim. Like we said, the Viva E just came in 4 colours, so Ember Red, Crystal Blue, Jamaica Yellow and Polar White. The L and GLS got the full colour range. All Polar White, Pastel Blue, Jamaica Yellow, Ember Red, Bright Green, Orange Tan, Regatta Blue, Royal Red, Pine Green, Bright Copper Metallic, Jade Green Metallic, Sapphire Blue Metallic, and of course those metallic paints are optional extras for the L and GLS. It also tells us there once again that you can get a vinyl roof on the GLS saloon, but just that model, and of course it's extra cost. And then that would take us up to the Cavalier, and quite a nice range of Cavaliers at this time. The Viva of course, really the axe was about to fall on it, and it didn't really fit in with the range. Certainly the Cavalier looks a lot more modern than the Viva ever did. But anyway, thank you so much for watching today. This is the model I'm picking for the car of the day. Yeah, it's the Super Basic E. Yeah, we love base models on Quarterlight. You get that rather wonderful strip speedometer with it. Unfortunately, you do have to put up with those horrendous seats, but maybe we'll throw some seat covers on so we're not burning ourselves in the summer. And it comes in only 4 colours, but I think I'd choose this yellow anyway. And it's got the rectangular lights and that chrome grille, which I actually think I prefer. But that's my choice. What would you pick out of today? And like I say, thank you so much for watching. Please do like and subscribe. It's completely free, helps the channel. And that leaves us just to say I've added a couple of boxes there for other episodes, and I'll kind of like link all this 78 Vauxhall range all together. You might not be able to see it all straight away, but once the full series has finished, you'll be able to locate all of them in that one box at the end. So we'll say thank you so much for watching, take care, all the best, and goodbye.